Okay, please stay with me here because the story I'm about to share with you sounds like it was ripped straight from a Hollywood movie, but it is absolutely real. This took place just last night, and the ramifications are enormous. Eastern Ukraine, 3:12 inches the morning. The air temperature is sitting at a frigid -1, circ text F $. That is intensely cold. It's the type of cold where your breath instantly freezes. And in that extreme cold, pushing through a blizzard, in the total darkness of a mountain pass almost no one has ever heard of, a Russian military convoy stretching 3 miles long is advancing. 80 vehicles in total, tanks, ammunition trucks, and armored personnel carriers. They are transporting over 160,000 anti-tank mines. The value of this convoy is $210 million. That is far from trivial. It represents a significant investment in military resources. And this is the critical point. They have absolutely no idea they are driving straight into a trap. Not a simple trap, but one that Ukrainian forces have been methodically and carefully engineering for close to 4 months. Because what happens next, the sequence of events that unfolds over the following 50 minutes inside that frozen canyon, will result in the complete obliteration of this entire Russian column. But the truly fascinating aspect of this story is this. The fatal error was not the ambush itself. It was the decision to enter what Ukraine had meticulously transformed into a weather trap, an environmental weapon. Let me rewind and provide some necessary context, as context is crucial here. For several weeks, political gridlock in Washington had been delaying crucial major aid packages intended for Ukraine. We've been tracking this extensively, and Russian commanders observing these delays grew excessively overconfident. They began to believe they had a window of opportunity, and they started cutting corners. This specific unit, this convoy of nearly 80 vehicles, which included 19 ammunition trucks, 18 main battle tanks, and 42 BTR armored carriers, treated this tight mountain pass as if it were a simple Sunday drive, merely a convenient shortcut to quickly reposition forces near a key strategic town. And listen to this. For 10 out of the 11 previous nights, they had traversed this exact corridor, following the same route, at virtually the same hour, same everything, because Moscow had assured them it was predictable, secure, and safe. Except Ukrainian intelligence had obtained every single detail. Keep following along, because this is where the planning becomes truly remarkable. Ukraine had taken Orlan-type surveillance drones and modified them, upgrading them with batteries capable of ultra-cold endurance. These platforms could function in temperatures as low as -22, circ text F $. For weeks, they had been tracking the precise nightly rhythm of this convoy, but their work wasn't just observation, it was deep analysis. Machine learning algorithms were diligently studying wind speeds, thermal signatures, and snowpack drift patterns. They were generating a real-time environmental map of the corridor. They were, in effect, transforming nature itself into actionable intelligence. The stakes could not have been higher. This convoy was delivering a weekly shipment of fresh anti-tank mines valued at $10 million. This amount of explosive ordnance was sufficient to fundamentally shift the tactical balance in a region where Russian forces have already suffered over 18,000 casualties since May. 18,000. So, the central question Ukraine was asking itself was this. Could they manage to convert the timing, the weather, and the terrain into an actual weapon? Could the environment be used to destroy an enemy they could not hope to match vehicle for vehicle? At 3:12 a.m., the answer began to reveal itself. The lead Russian tank crosses an invisible trigger point, simply a spot on the road. Nothing spectacular or dramatic is visible. However, that specific moment initiates the first phase of the Ukrainian plan. Silently, 20 Ukrainian drones ascend from ice pockets carved into the canyon walls where they had been hidden. These drones are not armed. They are not intended to strike. They are merely the opening act. Each drone is carrying a compact heating module set to $125, circ text F $. In the heart of the freezing blizzard, they begin releasing warm air into the night. The blizzard, true to its nature, pulls this artificial heat rapidly upward, spreading it into swirling thermal plumes. And on Russian radar screens situated 14 miles away, this action creates something entirely extraordinary. A ghost army, a phantom convoy, a complete heat column that seemingly emerges from nowhere, moving north right through the storm. Down below, the actual Russian vehicles continue their steady progress. They are entirely oblivious to the illusion forming in the sky above them. The first move has worked perfectly. The trap has officially snapped shut. Now consider the consequences of this. Approximately 14 miles away, A Russian radar station is abruptly registering a massive thermal anomaly, something far larger than anything ever recorded in this specific corridor. To the operators intently watching their screens, it appears to be a major Ukrainian reinforcement column, perhaps heavy engineering vehicles, armored personnel carriers, and tanks, an entire armored thrust materializing in the storm. Yet none of it is real. It is only physics, wind, and heat. At 3 to 19 a.m., the urgent report is transmitted by the Russian radar crew to their sector commander, which immediately triggers a cascade of orders. Russian artillery units receive immediate instructions to reposition. Entire batteries of guns are moving several hundred yards to confront a threat that, quite literally, does not exist. Meanwhile, the genuine Russian convoy keeps slowly inching forward through the ongoing real blizzard. Visibility is now barely 25 feet. Wind gusts are reaching 38 miles per hour. Sheets of ice are actually cracking and falling off the canyon walls. This is precisely the conditions Ukraine had been counting on. As the Russians proceed into the narrowest section of the pass, pressure sensors, carefully hidden beneath compacted snow layers, register the weight of the initial vehicles. These sensors, each roughly the size of a wristwatch, were installed during a nighttime infiltration operation 5 weeks before. They do not require maintenance, they do not emit signals, and they don't need GPS. The cold perfectly preserves them. They are relaying data back to a small Ukrainian command team positioned about 1.5 miles to the west of the corridor. At 3:22 a.m., the Ukrainian team leader issues a single quiet command. Phase 2. 8 larger Ukrainian drones configured for electronic warfare rise from concealed positions beneath snow-covered rocks. Their mission is to flood the canyon with interference, broadband noise that effectively dissolves all radio communications within the Russian convoy. Tank crews lose contact with command. Truck drivers lose communication with tank crews. This column, which was already crawling blindly through a blizzard, is now functionally deaf and mute. Ukraine then escalates the psychological pressure. Utilizing the canyon's natural acoustics, they deploy directional speakers that replay distorted engine noises from multiple directions. To the Russians inside their vehicles, it sounds like Ukrainian armor is actively maneuvering on both flanks, with both sides closing in. Despite there being no single Ukrainian vehicle anywhere nearby, formation discipline begins to fray and nerves tighten. Then comes the final deliberate nudge. A small Ukrainian scout drone descends through the thick blizzard and drops 3 thermal beacons directly onto the snow in the path of the convoy. Each beacon is precisely calibrated to mimic a tank engine idling at $145, circ dollar to Russian thermal sensors. It appears as though they are about to drive straight into an enemy spearhead. Their convoy immediately freezes, stopping completely in place. The killing zone is now set. For nearly 6 minutes, the Russian convoy remains stationary, partly from genuine fear of what they perceive to be Ukrainian armor waiting in the whiteout ahead, and partly from sheer confusion. The canyon feels incredibly claustrophobic. Every shadow looks threatening, and every sound is amplified. This is the exact moment Ukrainian planners have been patiently anticipating. At 3:28 a.m., ground sensors confirm that the entire length of the convoy is now stretched across the narrowest portion of the corridor. Trucks have closed gaps to avoid losing sight of each other in the storm. The tanks are bunched dangerously close together. 3 APC drivers have actually exited their vehicles in an attempt to identify the thermal signatures ahead. From a tactical standpoint, this convoy has become one continuous, immobile metal target. Ukraine now moves into Phase 3. And if you are finding this breakdown compelling, please take a moment to hit that subscribe button and like this video, because the next step is truly extraordinary. Hidden beneath nearly 5 feet of accumulated snow, 15 Ukrainian demolition charges activate at the same instant. These are not anti-vehicle mines. They are directional ice fracture explosives. Their purpose is to manipulate the terrain, not to destroy vehicles. They fire upward. The resulting blasts send massive slabs of pre-weakened ice cleaving off the canyon walls. Each slab, weighing between 6 and 12 tons, plunges downward like a series of natural avalanches. The Russians instantly mistake the first impacts for artillery strikes. Panic is immediate. 2 vehicles attempt to reverse. 3 gun their engines forward. 1 tank skids sideways, effectively jamming the entire column. Within 30 seconds, the pass is completely blocked at both ends, but Ukraine has more planned. A second layer of charges detonates farther up the slope. This triggers a cascade of compacted snow that collapses onto the road. While not enough to bury the vehicles, it is sufficient to trap them behind a formidable 14-foot wall of frozen debris. The canyon has been transformed into a sealed chamber. The Russians are now completely boxed in. Commanders try to reestablish order, but their radios remain jammed. A few crews attempt to climb out through hatches, only to immediately retreat as fresh ice fractures overhead. The temperature is still -1, circ text F $. With the wind chill, it feels like -31, circ $. Visibility is now less than 20 feet. Every minute they remain trapped. Their fuel, morale, and batteries are drained by the cold. Inside the Ukrainian command node, the team leader reviews the final sensor readings, then issues the next order. Phase 4. Bring the hammer. The ambush is about to turn lethal. More than a mile above the canyon, 12 Ukrainian strike drones successfully break through the upper cloud layer. These are neither jammers nor decoys. They are armed with 38-pound shape charge warheads designed specifically to pierce armored roofs that have been weakened by the extreme cold. They descend through the blizzard in a staggered pattern, expertly using the cliff faces to conceal their approach. Inside the convoy, Russian crews finally recognize genuine danger. One gunner spots movement and fires inaccurate, short bursts into the white void. Another tank commander orders his driver to rotate the hull, but the vehicle's treads are hopelessly wedged between slabs of fallen ice. Engines fail to catch in the freezing air. The first Ukrainian drone strikes at 3:36 a.m. It targets an immobilized tank near the center. The shape charge detonates above the turret, punching through the armor and instantly igniting the ammunition inside. The explosion is amplified tenfold, echoing through the canyon like a cannon blast. Shrapnel tears into 2 ammunition trucks directly behind it. Secondary detonations immediately follow. The second wave arrives within 40 seconds. 3 drones strike the leading vehicles, creating a firewall. 2 more hit the rear. No path for escape remains. The canyon transforms into a burning furnace beneath a blizzard sky, with snow and fire violently colliding. The cold intensifies the destructive effects. Hydraulic systems burst and freeze. Fuel lines crack. One final drone releases a thermal scatter charge, with each pellet burning at $2,500 circ $, effectively preventing any Russian crew members from approaching the damaged vehicles. In under 4 minutes, the convoy's combat capability has plummeted by over 70%. The blizzard traps the flames, the canyon hides the smoke, and the Russians realize they are no longer in a fight. They are in an execution zone. By 3:41 a.m., the corridor has become a death chamber. But the Ukrainian operation is not finished. A significant portion of the vital cargo, the mine shipments, is still intact within the armored carriers. The destruction of those crates is absolutely essential. Ukraine initiates Phase 5, controlled ignition. Weeks prior, deep inside the canyon wall, Ukrainian teams had positioned 4 remote thermal lances. Each one is capable of projecting a $3,000 circ $, plasma burst that can melt through heavy armor. At 3:43 a.m., the first lance fires. A jet of orange plasma stabs into the side of a carrier loaded with mine crates. The armor instantly glows red, sags, and then breaches. Inside, chemical fuses begin to rupture and warp. Ukraine engineered the temperature settings precisely to prevent uncontrolled chain reactions. The mines simply pop and hiss, rendering themselves unusable. Meanwhile, Ukrainian drones shift into a containment pattern, scanning for any survivors attempting to regroup. Russian crews are beginning to break down. Some attempt to climb the canyon slope, but the ice is too sharp. Others try to dig out their vehicles, but they retreat immediately as more snow cracks loose overhead. At 3:46 a.m., secondary flare-ups ripple through the convoy. Ammo boxes burst and fuel cells cook off. By this point, over 85% of mobility has been eliminated. Nearly all mine shipments have been compromised. Ukraine is doing more than just destroying vehicles. They are erasing weeks of Russian logistical effort. By 3:52 a.m., the canyon is no longer a battlefield, it is a sealed tomb. Ukraine moves to its final phase, eradication and extraction. At 3:54 a.m., 2 final drones descend. These are carrying 52-pound thermobaric charges, specifically designed for use in enclosed terrain. They position themselves at opposite ends of the convoy. At 3:55 a.m., both detonate simultaneously. The canyon amplifies the resulting blasts like a massive echo chamber. Pressure waves ricochet off the frozen walls, crushing vehicle hulls. Snow instantly condenses to vapor. Flames stretch out horizontally. Russian survivors are thrown violently off their feet. When the echoes finally fade, silence descends upon the corridor. The blasts have not only destroyed what was left, they have sterilized the battlefield. No mines, no equipment, no electronics, and no intact vehicle can ever be recovered. At 3:57 a.m., Ukrainian teams commence their extraction. The sensor network is remotely white. Jammers power down. Natural winds rapidly bury their tracks. By 4:02 a.m., they have completely vanished. At sunrise, Russian reconnaissance drones finally reach the corridor. Their thermal footage reveals what analysts would later describe as a total mechanical extinction event. Of the 80 vehicles that initially entered, fewer than 5 retain any recognizable silhouette. Every mine shipment is unusable. Ammunition, spare parts, and fuel are obliterated. Russia's planned reinforcement attempt has been delayed by 12 to 15 days for a mission that was planned over 4 months and executed in under 50 minutes. Ukraine achieved a significant strategic, logistical, and psychological victory. The canyon was their weapon, the storm was their ally, and the convoy served as their lesson. That concludes our reporting tonight. If this story captured your attention, please be sure to leave your comments below and subscribe for more comprehensive, in-depth coverage. Good night.